Alright, so this is going to be the first part of my Jin guide, in which I'll be covering Jin's best moves, his punish options, stances, Oki and frame traps, his heat, and a few combos to get you started. I hope this guide helps you out. As always, there will be timestamps in the description in case you want to jump to a specific part of the guide. And now, let's begin with an overview of Jin. In Tekken 8, Jin is an extremely well-rounded character with answers to just about any situation thanks to his extremely versatile kit. If you can master Jin's difficult inputs, you'll have access to a wide variety of powerful options that allow you to dictate the flow of the fight. However, it is important to remember that Jin's ability to control the fight is reliant on the player, and using even his strongest neutral moves improperly will cause Jin to lose control of the fight, as even some of his best moves have lacking frames. But if you're looking for a character that improves as you improve, Jin is going to be your best choice. "1-2-1" is a fast jab string that ends in a powerful launcher that Jin can convert into a full combo. While the final hit isn't guaranteed, the threat of the launcher encourages your opponent to respect it. But be careful when using this string, as it is launch punishable at -16 on block. 1-2-3 is another powerful jab string that wins both on block and on hit. On block, you're left at 0 frames, allowing you to comfortably select your next move, and on hit, 1-2-3 will down your opponent and allow you to select from your Oki options. In order to beat 1-2-3, your opponent is going to need to jab you during the final hit startup, so be sure to condition them into respecting the final hit. 1-3-4 is a 10 frame string that hits low twice, making it very strong if your opponent doesn't tend to block low. However, against more skilled opponents, be careful when completing this string, as it is -13 on block, and your opponent does have a pretty large window to punish you with a low parry. 2-1-4 is arguably Jin's strongest pressure tool. Its delayable ender allows you to get creative with your options, as your enemy has to respect the threat of the delayed 4, giving you the opportunity to mix in lows to catch your opponent. One way of doing this is double tapping 4 to change the last hit of this string from a mid to a low. 2-4 is one of Jin's strongest punish tools. Its 10 frame startup allows Jin to punish most moves, and puts Jin at +11 on hit, as well as giving him the opportunity to shift into a Zenshin stance, in which Jin has some incredibly powerful options. On top of all this move also has wall splat properties. Down 2 is a ridiculously powerful low poke that has great range, damage, evasive frames, tracking, and will even hit downed opponents. On top of that, Down 2 will also provide a full combo convertible launcher on counter hit, making it a ridiculously powerful mix-up and pressure tool as well. Forward Forward 2 is a fast, long-range mid that puts Jin into heat on hit. It's -8 on block, so it's relatively safe, and if your opponent is near a wall, Forward Forward 2 becomes an even stronger option due to its wall splat properties. Forward Forward 3 is an incredible Oki option that'll launch the opponent on hit. While Forward Forward 3 is a powerful move on its own, it is especially powerful when mixed in with Jin's wave dash mix-ups, as if your opponent is expecting a hell sweep, Forward Forward 3 will catch them and lead to a full combo. Jin's 4 is an incredibly fast, full tracking high that'll track opponents sidestepping in any direction. On hit, it will apply spin, forcing your opponents to block or be punished for the next move. 4 is also safe on block, so don't be afraid to use this move to catch sidestepping opponents. Forward 4 is Jin's best move. Forward 4 is safe on block, has ridiculous range and pushback, allows for follow-up on hit, and allows Jin to shift into Zenshin for his devastating Zenshin mix-ups. To get the most out of Jin, you'll need to master this move and its powerful follow-ups, and use them frequently in your matches. Down back 4 is another powerful low poke that will allow Jin to follow up on counter hit. While down back 4's follow-up isn't quite as potent as down 2's, down back 4 is the faster option. Jin has a ton of punish options, and while I won't go over them all in this video, I will cover the best ones per frame advantage. Starting with 10 frame punish, Jin's best 10 frame punisher is going to be 2-4. At 12 frames, your best punish option is going to be back 1-2. At 13 frames, you can use 1+2 for a heat activator, or down forward 1-4 for a normal 13 frame punish. And at 15 frames, you can use Jin's down 3+4 or his electric wind hook fist. If your opponent's hit forces you into crouch, or you're ducking a high attack, you can use while standing 4-4 for anything under -13. For anything over -13, you can use while standing 1-3-2, 1-4-2. And finally, for anything over -14, you can use Jin's best while standing option, while standing 2, for a full combo on hit. Forward neutral down, down forward is Jin's crouch dash that you chain to wave dash. Not only is the wave dash some of Jin's highest skill expression, but it's also an essential part of playing Jin at a high level, as it is a threatening approach that forces your opponent to respond to a mix-up from Jin's powerful crouch dash options. The first option, Crouch Dash 1, is a high-risk, high-reward mid-launcher that allows for high damage on hit. To reduce the risk, you can try to frame perfect this move to reduce Jin's recovery time and add a bit of damage. But to start, be sure to remember that Crouching Dash 1 is a mid-attack when you're pressuring for your mix-ups. Crouch Dash 2 is the Mishima special. On its own, this move is incredibly powerful as it is an 11-frame mid-launcher with movement included. But to get the most out of Crouch Dash 2, you'll need to master the frame-perfect timing, as it turns this move from a powerful launcher to a powerful launcher that's +5 on block with increased damage and reduced recovery time. Crouch Dash 3 is a mid with a 16-frame startup that allows for follow-up on counter hit. Crouch Dash 3 is the same as Jin's while standing 3 and benefits from the same tracking properties, making it a great tool for catching sidestepping opponents. Crouch Dash 4 is a faster mid with better frames, but none of the tracking or spin on hit properties of Crouch Dash 3. Crouch Dash Hold Down Forward 4-2 is Jin's Hell Sweep, which is an essential part of Jin's mix-ups when approaching opponents with Wave Dash, as when mixed with Crouch Dash 1, your opponent will have to decide which option they're going to defend against. Some of Jin's moves will allow him to shift into an enhanced version of Crouch Dash by holding down forward after their input. In this enhanced version of Crouch Dash, Jin's Crouch Dash 1 and Crouch Dash 2 are guaranteed to be electric and retain their on-hit properties. You can shift into enhanced Crouch Dash from Jin's Zenshin stance with back 3+4 or forward 3+4 depending on the situation. But keep in mind that shifting into Zenshin with back 3+4 will provide evasion frames before following up with one of Jin's powerful options. Down Forward 2 is a strong poke tool that has great range, knockback, and damage, and can shift into Jin's enhanced Crouch Dash to follow up with mix-ups for pressure. Down Forward Double Tap 3 is an incredible Oki tool that will allow Jin to shift into his enhanced Crouch Dash, and is an essential part of Jin's Oki setup. Zenshin 1-2 is usually a combo ender that will allow you to create space against an opponent. However, if you're using this move outside of a combo, you can hold down forward after pressing 1 to cancel into Jin's enhanced Crouch Dash. The final option is Zenshin 3+4, which is a gap closing kick that does a ton of damage on hit and will leave you at +9 on block, allowing you to decide if you want to keep the pressure on by shifting to enhanced Crouch Dash or using some of Jin's powerful neutral tools. Jin's Zenshin stance allows him to select from a few powerful options after briefly entering an animation. Back 3+4 is Zenshin and will shift Jin backwards with a few evasive frames, while forward 3+4 is Zenshin, in which Jin will shift forward, making it useful for closing gaps and extending combos. Certain moves in Jin's kit will allow him to shift into Zenshin stance by holding forward after the input. 2-4, which in my opinion is Jin's strongest and most reliable punish tool, can shift into Zenshin on hit and force your opponent into a mix-up. Forward 3-3 is Jin's go-to keep-out tool. It's double hit mid-high and has enough knockback to allow Jin to control space at mid-range before shifting into Zenshin for follow-up. Another incredible keep-out tool is Forward 4, but unlike Forward 3-3, this move is not only used to control space, but also as a punishment tool for opponents that are looking to close space due to its guaranteed follow-up on counter hit. Back 3 is a fast knee that will allow Jin to shift into Zenshin. While you can use this move from neutral, back 3 is best used when extending your combos with options like Zenshin 1. Now that we've covered accessing Zenshin, let's take a look at the Zenshin options. Zenshin 1-2 is a combo ender with wall splat that creates a ton of space on hit. While you can use this move from neutral, it doesn't have the best frames, which makes using it outside of combos a bit difficult if you don't have a good read on your opponent. Zenshin 1-3 is also a combo ender that does a bit more damage with the trade-off of losing 1-2's wall splat properties. Zenshin 2 is an armored move that has wall splat properties and will put Jin in heat on hit. While you do have to be a bit careful with this move as it is a high attack that can be ducked, Zenshin 2 is a great option for conditioning your opponent to respect the threat of Zenshin's mix-ups. Zenshin 3 is Jin's halberd kick, a full tracking mid that will wall splat on hit. However, Zenshin 3 is super slow at 17 frames, which makes it difficult to use outside of controlling space against approaching opponents. Zenshin 4 is Jin's dive kick, and a really tricky option that has a ton of advantages when used effectively. Zenshin 4 looks as though it's going to hit low, but is in actuality a mid that does significant damage on hit and leaves Jin at +3 if blocked. Zenshin 3+4 is an advancing kick that does a ton of damage and will allow Jin to shift into his enhanced breaking step on hit. On block, Zenshin 3+4 will put Jin into plus frames, giving him plenty of time to follow up. Finally, Zenshin up 1 is a pretty fast launcher that will allow Jin a full combo on hit. Jin can also use this move mid-combo to relaunch his opponent and keep his pressure and damage up. Oki, or Okizeme, refers to any situation in which you're able to pressure your opponent while they are grounded or during their wake-up. An example being Jin's forward 3 on hit, as it will ground the opponent and allow you to follow up with an Oki option while they are laying on the ground or going for a wake-up. Now that we understand what an Oki option is, let's look at one of Jin's 50-50 Oki setups. For the Oki setup we're covering, our Oki option is going to be down forward double tap 3, which is a great Oki option due to its tricky animation, as well as its ability to shift Jin into his enhanced crouch dash, which is where this setup gets its 50-50 threat. To set this up, you'll want to down your opponent at close range with a move like forward 3 or Zenshin up 1. From here, you'll queue up down forward double tap 3, as it will not only encourage your opponent to block, but also keep you covered from your opponent's wake up options, as it should beat most wake ups. If your opponent decides to hold back to block down forward 3-3, this is where you have the opportunity to use your 50-50, as your opponent will either block high to deal with crouch dash 1, or low to deal with crouch dash 4. And that's pretty much all there is to this Oki setup. While it is super simple, it is a great way of securing a ton of damage against your opponent, so don't forget to use it in your matches. Jin has a ton of frame traps in Tekken 8, and while they all excel in certain situations, I wanted to cover what I feel are his most consistent and realistic frame trap options to help you develop your game plan. But before we do that, let's go over what a frame trap is exactly. A frame trap is simply using a plus frame move to build frame advantage and following up with a low frame attack to catch your opponent's response to the initial attack. As an example, let's start with 1-2-3. 1-2-3 is a 3-hit string that will leave Jin at 0 frames if blocked. And while this isn't plus frames, it also isn't minus frames, meaning that Jin can still comfortably select the fast option to catch his opponent's reaction. Your most reliable options for 1-2-3 are going to be up forward 2, an evasive mid check, and 2-1-4, a powerful pressure string. If you're against an opponent that is familiar with Jin's moveset, they'll probably jab to interrupt 1-2-3, in which case you can go into your follow-up from 1-2 instead of completing the 1-2-3 string. Another frame trap option is forward forward 3-1, which will leave Jin at +1 on block, allowing him to trap his opponent with the same options as 1-2-3, while also giving him access to a few more options thanks to the slight frame advantage. Finally, let's take a look at forward forward 4. While forward forward 4 is not a true frame trap as it leaves you at -7 on block, it has a ton of pushback which makes it difficult for your opponent to punish you, but allows for a pretty consistent follow-up in down 2, which of course will convert to a full combo on counter hit. Jin can enter heat with his heat burst, neutral 1+2, forward forward 2, forward 3-1, down forward 4, and finally Zenshin 2. Once in heat, Jin can use his heat smash, his alternate heat smash, which trades damage for pushback and wall splat, while in heat, Jin's crouch dash will always be the enhanced version, which guarantees him electrics. And finally, while in heat, Jin has access to his power stance parry options. And that's pretty much everything I know on Jin so far. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments section, and I'll try to answer them as fast as possible.